Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of An Unlikely Friendship. I don't know if anyone's actually going to be listening to this besides us, but I guess we'll just start out with a little bit of background about us and about this podcast. I'm Katie, and I guess this is my co-host Matt.
Hi, honestly, this is a little bit awkward, but I guess just to explain, I'm 23 this year, and Katie's turning 24. But yeah, so we're both from Vancouver, and I guess we just decided during the middle of this coronavirus thing that we'll try and start a podcast together and just talk about some things that we've been discussing throughout the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be a bonus if we get famous or, make $500,000 like the Call Her Daddy girls. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is gonna take off, but I think it would be very nice if there were people out there listening to us and if they could relate to anything that we talk about or anything like that. Because sometimes me and Matt talk about things and we're like, I think it'd be nice just to hear other people's opinions
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Like, are we really that weird? Or is it just like there's other people who think similar to us? But yeah, also like I think just starting this podcast would just kind of be fun to kind of like listen back to. Like in a couple years we'll just kind of hear like the problems that we talk about and just realize, well, hopefully we'll realize that they weren't that big of a problem, and we'll just, I don't know, just enjoy life.
Yeah, it'll be kind of like an audio time capsule.
We'll try to focus our podcast onto like specific topics. I think every week we'll try to aim for specific topics, but really, like we said, I think this is going to be kind of like a time capsule for us. So really just wherever our conversations lead us to, I think we'll just start talking about that. But hopefully we'll be able to focus it and keep the episodes short. But our Zoom calls are normally quite long. So
It's because we usually get very off topic and we just talk about a lot of things and get sidetracked a lot. But, that stuff we can edit. So,
it's true. It still feels a bit awkward, but I mean, we can talk about like where we got our name. So like obviously our podcast is called An Unlikely Friendship. I thought it was kind of funny, but
Matt
apparently your
came out with
sister
it.
doesn't like it. Yeah, I mean, I guess why don't I start with why I think it's an unlikely friendship between me and you, and
Sure.
then you can like chime in. But pretty much, I guess our dynamic is obviously I'm the cool, calm, collected guy, and Katie's kind of the lame girl that just needed some guidance, and obviously, but no, I'm just but
That's what he thinks. And he also calls me a charity case. So, Also,
yeah,
we've been friends for like three
three and a
and
half.
a half years now.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of like weird because I do make fun of Katie a lot, and yet we're still we're still friends. So it's unlikely in that case already. But pretty much, I guess to start it off, I've had a girlfriend for 6 years, 6.5 years now. So one of the reasons why it's kind of unlikely that I became friends with Katie was just because when I first met Katie, well, huge backstory. Like, it was actually one of my close friends who liked Katie, and then we kind of like went on these weird, really weird double dates, which is it's this is like a story for another time. There was a time when my girlfriend was pretty against me like talking with Katie, just because I guess like I definitely understand her perspective. I mean, like Katie's obviously a girl, and
You say that, but my God, he always is like, oh, you can't be too sure. He says at my wedding that he's gonna start out by saying that I'm a girl.
yeah, but I mean, it's because obviously it's 2020. Like you got to keep all your bases covered, right? Like she could turn out to be like a guy or something, and
Yeah, but I've
we'll be okay.
literally told you I'm
But I'm
not
just
a
saying I'll
guy.
accept you for who you are. But yeah, so obviously my girlfriend didn't really like us talking to each other.
And
So
it's weird because there was like no reason really for us. Like, I don't really even know how we specifically became friends out of
Oh, that's
that
true.
like
That's
double date situation, because like I don't even know how we like literally just like started talking separately from
I would
that.
honestly say like the earliest memories I have talking to you, like definitely it was Snapchat. Like we were Snapchat
Is
friends
that the
first. Like
first?
because that was so annoying. I remember like I have short term memory because you take a picture of Snapchat and then you can write a couple sentences. Well, obviously, generally you don't write sentences, but Katie would write sentences, and like I would read it and not think of my responses. But then when I start typing them back out, I couldn't remember them. So like our conversations were always kind of difficult to keep track. Also because at least I don't use Snapchat very frequently, so it would be kind of like a couple hours between each message, so it's hard to keep track of the conversation.
Yeah, and back then it like I think in the very beginning stages it was literal like snaps, not like in the chat. And then it transitioned from like actual snaps to using the chat and saving all the messages.
Yeah.
And then somehow we transitioned off of that.
Well, it wasn't somehow. I remember getting annoyed because it was just ridiculous. Wait, I think even back then, Snapchat you couldn't just tap it to save it. You had to hold it to save in chat. So it was just getting to the point where it's like, okay, like there's clearly like we had each other's numbers and stuff. So it was like, why aren't we just texting instead of like using Snapchat's chat function, which was like just so annoying. Yeah,
Um,
but I would say also the first couple conversations we had that I really remember was probably like Game of Thrones, actually.
oh
Because I think you were
yeah,
one of the only other people that I knew of that was watching it.
I remember this. Yeah, Game of Thrones. Yeah, I don't think I really knew anyone else who watched it either. I guess that is sort of the first thing that I remember. Besides that, like I honestly don't really know how we
Yeah.
actually started talking.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember either, but it was pretty fun. I mean,
And
yeah,
somehow we've been friends for 3.5 years. Oh God, yeah, but did it just end? It was last year, right? Yeah, garbage.
yeah, yeah. I think both of us didn't really like the last season, but
No
so three
one
years,
really did. Do you know
yeah,
anyone? Like, anyway. But I mean, I guess to elaborate a bit more about our background, though, we've been friends for 3.5 years, but honestly, it wasn't until like recently, like because of coronavirus, and me and Matt, like, I don't know, we've been talking for throughout the last 3 years or so. Like, we would just message, but recently, well, technically, we started talking because I went through a breakup.
yeah. But yeah, I would say like not that I don't remember anything from like the first couple years that we talked, but we talked a lot about just random things that didn't really like they were fun to talk about, but they didn't really have too much meaning in the sense that we literally would just start talking about Game of Thrones. We also played Pokemon Go for, for probably a bit too long. But yeah, I think that's another reason why we stayed good friends was just because we actually started playing that game together.
Yeah, and then, I went through a breakup and Matt was, there, and we just started talking, and then like eventually it moved from like breakup discussion to just like whatever else, like talking. And we are at a point in our lives, I think, where we're both just, figuring things out and realizing things. And we've been talking a lot about it. And, like we said, we thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about it on a podcast. I guess that's how we became friends. Also, Matt also always mentions that our friendship has an expiry date and he doesn't know how we made it this far.
Yeah, I'll definitely say like, especially because a little more background, I guess. I moved to Mississauga last September for school, so so yeah, I really thought we were like that was it. Like, I didn't think we were really gonna be friends for that much longer, just because we wouldn't see each other in person. So why would we really talk to each other? But yeah, against that, we still are talking. So it's kind of blessing or a curse. We'll see. But yeah.
Well, now I told Matthew that we're going to be friends until one of us dies, so that's our
Yeah.
expiry date.
we'll see. That's the one thing. Like we definitely do talk a lot about random things, I guess, but I think most of the things that we talk about, definitely we are just trying to find to see if other people feel the same way and even just other people's opinions because obviously we're just two people and I'd say we think fairly similarly. So it's always nice to get more opinions from other people. But
Yeah, like I think in some ways we are very different, but I think the way that we generally think sometimes is very similar. And I think we would both say that we're fairly like logical people, or we think so anyways.
yeah, as logical as a 23-year-old can get. Yeah, no, that's why like I think I hope we do get like a podcast just talking about life, but really we're just kind of I do think we're in that like a quarter life crisis where like what are you doing? Like I went right back to school after my undergrad, so like I don't know, like I feel like I have some more stability, but at the same time it's kind of like why am I doing so much school? But yeah, other than that, I think we'll talk about things that we think are interesting. We already have some episode ideas for
Yeah,
the
we have some topics lined up for you guys.
the three viewers. I'm assuming we're gonna get three because your sister's obviously gonna listen to our podcast. So your sister and I hope two randoms that will listen to through this 30 minutes maybe.
Honestly, I thought you were gonna say my sister and then you and me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're both in a quarter life crisis stage right now, I'd say, because yeah, you went back to school and you're figuring that out, and I am just finally graduating after 6 years of trying to get my undergrad and finally doing it in the middle of coronavirus. So that's,
Yeah.
you know.
So yeah, I mean, I guess you did your undergrad in comp sci. I did an undergrad in chemistry and molecular biology. Now I'm moving on to like a master's program.
So I guess that's it for the introductory episode of our Unlikely Friendship podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening. If anyone is listening,
Yeah, I think that's a better thing to say to end it off like to the one viewer, which once again is probably going to be your sister. Um, that's all we have, and hope you enjoy.
we'll try to come up with new episodes, but
Yeah, weekly episodes until we run out of steam, which will be hopefully not too soon.
see ya.
Bye.